Good morning, it's Tara with Balance Healing Arts. Hi Balance Healing Arts! It's bright and early, but I didn't want to forget about you guys and I wanted to do your 2 for Tuesday. So it's 2 for Tuesday, Snoochie Boochies, and I did 2 cards from 2 different decks for you guys. I just flipped them over, I haven't looked at them yet, and it's these 2. Okay, so let me muscle test real quick. Is this reversed or upright? Upright. Reversed or upright? Upright. Okay, so when they are flipped, but they're both meant to be upright, sometimes it can be 2 different topics. 2 different topics? Yes. Same 2 cards, 2 topics. Okay, so we have, let me show these to you guys. Get your intuition on them. Of course, there's the traditional meaning of the tarot. She's sleeping in a nest, and although I don't find this nest cozy looking because it's like sticky and sharp and pokey, but then look, I always see the second one, whoopsie, left from right, this one, to me it looks like a seashell. You know when you're little you put the seashell by your ear and you're supposed to be able to hear the sea? But it's actually a staircase to the depths, like all the way to her pineal gland. So this card talks, let's see, 4 of Swords and Ace of Swords. Those are ideas, inspiration. Swords have to do with thoughts, thinking, ideas, brain, also communication. So if we have this card and we talk about breakthroughs, we talk about downloads, we talk about being tuned in, very positive, successful, inspiring ideas, ideas and inspiration. And then resting. A lot of us have been having awakenings and downloads, and everybody's tired. Since the 9/9 portal and the eclipse and all that stuff, a lot of people have been down with headaches, with pressure and exhaustion. And strange pain in different body areas, including me. And it's energetic in most cases. I mean, I guess that's kind of a bold statement. I kind of think everything's energetic. Even if you get a virus, even if you get a bacterial infection, it's still energy. It's still serving a purpose energetically. So it's okay to rest right now because this is wiping a lot of people out. And you think, well, how can ideas, how can downloads, how can energetic shifts exhaust you physically? Because it does. That's how energy works. And when we talk about the energy and emotional manifesting physically, same concept. So physical pain in your body is not made up. It's not imaginary. I'm not implying that. I have lots of validation from my own personal experience of many times that I've cleared it too. When you are able to locate and validate an emotion or an experience that's been stored in your physical body, it can be released. Even big ones can be released, sometimes quite easily. So that's our first 2 from our first deck. And I thought, oh cool, the cards finally listen, just 2 from 2 decks. Well, there was a secret card in here, so let's see what happens here. We've got 3 cards because we had a separate one. Dang, if we are not consistent with these cards. There is some kind of love connection coming together, and it's from 2 people with different backgrounds or seemingly different people who are also very compatible. Oh my gosh. These 3 cards have been in our drawings, but also all the platforms. It's a different king. It's the King of Roses, which it has been the King of Keys. The King of Keys is a man who travels for work, or a person who travels for work. Reversed or upright? Upright, okay. Reversed or upright? Upright. I don't think that one really matters. The season cards I have not been taking very literally because, well, sometimes I do. I just go by the intuitive message that gets you. So I'll show you the cards. We have the King of Roses and 2 Worlds. So that, I already just explained that, you know, 2 people, highly compatible, but seemingly very different worlds. Like maybe they're from different ethnic backgrounds, different cultures, different countries, different cities. Oh, okay. I'm saying traditionally religious and spiritual. You know, there are lots of ways to be from 2 different worlds. This can also be a king who is highly intuitive. A lot of times we think only women can be intuitive, and that's just not the case. Everybody and everything has intuition. So we have this King of Roses, and he's walking forward. He's walking forward from his world. So then the third bonus card is the Spring card. Spring is when things are in bloom and things are happening. So the way I take this is we have our resting from all of our downloads and all of our new awarenesses. So if this is regarding romance, probably taking a break from some truths that have come through that maybe have been a little kind of like disheartening. Or, you know, like say dating, like, okay, I'm exhausted, I'm taking a break, you know, something like that. But I'm sticking with the downloads and the intuitive downloads too, because they did tell us two meanings, same two cards, two different areas of life. So, spiritual awakening, intuition, downloads, all those kind of things, spiritual growth, and resting from some big truths. Now, when we talk about big truths, it's not always like somebody coming through with a huge confession. It can be truths about yourself. I also have been enlightened. The eclipse energy brings you awareness and truth from your own subconscious too. Certain behaviors that are ready to be cleared out, things you didn't know you had been holding, things like that. So we have our king from a seemingly different world taking action, and to this tired girl. And I like it. I like it. There's a thing called divine timing, and you know, you kind of, when you're impatient and you feel like you've done your work and you've been waiting so long, you kind of want to throw punch that card. But I don't think anybody can argue with the divine timing when all is said and done, when the manifestation or the dream kind of like fulfills itself and comes to fruition. You can almost every time look back and think, you know, I did need that time. I really did need that time. If he would have shown up the first month, it would have been a completely different situation. So we do trust in divine timing, even though we want to argue about it like a toddler, most of us. So we have being really truthful and honest with ourselves and shining light on things we didn't want to see about ourselves and situations, and resting after big releases. And we have action. So this could be a masculine or a feminine, but I feel in nature, usually the masculine is the one who takes the lead and takes action in romance. And there's something about this king, although he's the King of Roses and he's the most loving king in this deck, look at his outfit. He's also in like kind of a soldier. I don't really think capes are really safe for battle personally, but I can be Captain Little. I can be super neurodivergent sometimes, but he's also a soldier, you know. He's strong. He's a leader. So it could be also a job offer and a work offer that you're going to love. So even though this is a collective and several people listen to it, so we have a couple different groups of people and individuals. So some people are manifesting, you know, maybe the job or career of their dreams. Some people are manifesting love. Some people are working on healing. So, and maybe some people are doing all three, like me. So today's the day to be positive, and the healing reminder at the end of this card pull is to, just for today, drop the worrying. Just drop the worrying and take care of yourself. Like, you know, be in nature, be gentle, do something that makes you happy, you know, do some painting, pick some fucking flowers, go for a walk, whatever you need to do, but drop the worrying. Drop the worrying and the fretting and obsessing. Worrying, fretting, and obsessing clenches you. It pulls you in instead of opens you up so something can come in. So worrying, fretting, and obsessing is masculine energy. And if you want something to come in, you have to be in feminine energy. You have to be open and ready. It's just really interesting. They showed me when Starbucks calls your name and your coffee's ready, you wait for your coffee. You don't make the coffee. You wait for the coffee. That's the feminine part, but the masculine part is you do have to pick it up off the counter or you don't get any coffee. So there's that slight juggle between resting and moving forward. I dreamed last night, and it was a specific dream. And I dreamed that I was in a relationship with a man, and he looked kind of like Chris Pratt, so it's kind of okay. But the dream was just really interesting. I was, and it wasn't like a super emotionally charged dream. Like, I didn't feel emotions in the dream, but I saw people in color, and I saw details of the people, obviously. I was addressing, and he was there, I was there, but there was another person there, and it seemed to be like a female in my life, maybe. And maybe she and I were talking about something, but then she was gone and I was talking to him about it. And I liked that, because one of the things in relationships is that we talk to everybody except the person. Whether this is in family situations or work situations or whatever, many times instead of talking to the person that the issue is coming up with, or the issue is affecting, you talk to everybody around them except for them. You know, some people can be like that. And it is a pattern that I've definitely worked on in my life. You know, when you're young and you're immature, you know, you talk a lot of shit, but you can't really complain when nothing gets done about it, because you haven't addressed the issue directly with the person. Now, later in life, when I've become more mature and I've done a lot of personal work, you know, a lot of therapy and and I've gained more tools about communication, and I've had some wonderful people to practice communicating directly with safely. Now I think I can be received as someone who's a little too direct. And I think that's with the folks that are learning that too. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this directness isn't an attack. It's just like coming to the situation because, you know, it needs to be discussed. So I discussed with this person my suspicions about this certain topic, and he looked right at me and said, well, I've heard the same about you. And it was interesting that he said, I've heard the same about you, but it was a different topic. The first topic had to do with affection, and the second topic had to do with running. And he said, I've heard the same about you, that the minute things get bad, you can just take off. And then I kind of just calmly woke up, and I thought about it, and I'm like, that the idea and the energy around avoidance has come up for me, not just in my relationships, but about things I do or don't want to deal with. And because I've noticed it. And when things come up like almost super dramatically obvious, I feel like that's an indicator that it's close and you're getting ready to flip the switch on that. So like avoiding being organized about money, you know, avoid being organized in your home, avoiding returning messages or getting overwhelmed super easy with, you know, communication. You know, things like that, where avoidance can come up, not just in like avoidant runner chaser kind of relationships. And as I was on my way here to my first job, I kind of reviewed, and I'm like, nope. Sometimes I have dreams that I'm a stand-in as another person. And I've had this in this one murder case that a friend and I had been talking through and working with. That I experienced the dream as one of the people in that scenario. And this dream was similar to that because, you know, after the dream ended, I had communicated with this man. No, actually, I don't feel like it was like a defensive thing. I think it was to show me that this was an intuitive dream, not a me dream, but also both. Because I have been working on codependency my whole life, and I tend to be a person who gets too many chances, too many, and then finally it's like, okay, T, like that's enough chances, like it's boundary time, boundary up. So I have a little more to reflect on that dream, and it'll keep coming throughout the day. I'll get my answers if I want them. So, you know, we're talking about this King of Roses coming in from two worlds, and I don't know how our cards today apply to the dream and what the connection is yet, but I was meant to share the dream because the dream might have been for one of you guys who watches this stuff. So, with a highlight on epiphanies, you don't see it and then you do. You don't see it and then you do. There's a word for that, but it's not coming to me right now. What is that word? It's like epiphany, like, but like suddenly you're aware, like you see it for what it is, illumination. You see it for what it is. So maybe gaslighting. You know, if you bring up an issue with somebody like, you know, why are you so disconnected? And they say, well, you do this. That can be gaslighting. That could be something that somebody needs to be aware of, that they're being gaslit right now. And in narcissist empath combos, it's very easy to get your head spinning and all turned around by the wordy words by the person who gaslights. So that can be exhausting too. Okay, so this is still the channel coming through. Okay. And so this illumination, this epiphany, this clarity and truth, like, oh my gosh. And this can be the big light bulb. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is big light bulb and breakthrough in understanding, you know, codependency and dysfunction in toxic relationship patterns. Not everybody has the same patterns, but once you get it, and then there's this the exhaustion, like, oh my gosh, I got it. And then even when you clear a pattern energetically, you might feel free and lighter, but also you get tired and also hungry. Okay, so anything else on that, Spirit? So that is why what stood out to the dream, that there wasn't an emotional feeling. There wasn't a feeling of defensiveness. There wasn't a feeling of emotion. It was more like neutral communication, like you're watching a show. So that tells me, for my part of the meaning in the dream, because I had the dream, was that those patterns are over. And love comes walking in. Sometimes, you know, you get these messages like there's something you have to clear out before you can move forward. And that's really frustrating, because wouldn't we just do it if we could? And there comes the divine timing, sending it home with that divine timing. Like, yes, you would if you could, but you have to pick up all these pieces and put them together for the total puzzle, for this to really, really get the full picture in full clarity and truth for yourself. So this isn't one of those truth cards that's like, oh my gosh, I just discovered a massive affair, or da-da-da-da-da. It's not that kind of bombshell being dropped. This is different. This is for you, the viewer, the person who's receiving this reading, like receiving clarity and accepting the truth for yourself. Like, what's my part in this? What am I ready to learn and see so I can move through this? And that's a beautiful thing. That's ownership. That's accountability, but not in a blamey, blame way, or a shamey, shame way. In a way like empowered, like soul peace coming home, okay? So this is, I'm so happy with that message, and that I did get clarity, and I had the fresh air behind me, and I'm on the 10th floor, and a lot of little help letting that come through super, super clearly. Oh, and then right on the top of the deck is this one, and then next we have the Knight of Cups. I feel like for those of you who have been waiting for love, hoping for love, wishing on love, manifesting love, you know, I always bring up the disgusting scab one. You know I'm going to do it. But that's the thing. Everybody has had a big owie, and you have that scab, and you kind of like don't want the scab to be there anymore, so you start picking at it. Well, if it's a deep, big one, and you rip the whole scab off, you're going to make it start bleeding again. But as it heals more and more and more, the scab eventually kind of chips away on its own as you're doing your work, as you're giving it time, rest, patience, you know, compassion, tenderness, those kind of things. Not blamey, blame, shamey, shame, because these relationships and these experiences that you feel like, gosh, why has this happened to me? You know, because in the beginning of that dream, it showed me just lightly and quickly the pattern of, you know, why aren't we touching? Why aren't we having time? Why are you so disconnected? There must be someone else, you know, or what's going on to prevent that, you know, for whatever reason that is. It doesn't matter the reason. And that brings me to my other friend who has reinforced the idea of we don't care. We don't care is a really nice affirmation for codependents. Codependents who need a boundary, but they don't understand why they need a boundary. They just know they need the boundary. We don't fucking care. We don't care why there's disconnection. We don't care why there's pulling away. If you've asked and you've communicated, that person isn't interested in sharing, or isn't ready, doesn't know how to communicate why, or be honest about why, or wants to gaslight you about it. That is your answer. That is your answer. You don't have to go down a deep spiral of wondering about what you've done, or, you know, that is your answer. Your answer is, if they aren't going to talk about it, they aren't going to communicate it, and they aren't going to work at it, and they are going to gaslight you, that is your answer. And then that's therapist stuff. But also, if you had the therapy and you're breaking these patterns, what an amazingly powerful message today, that you're further than you think. You have the tools and you're using them. And when you have a dream like that, that's not like full of emotion and fireworks and things like that, it's just kind of like a written report, a summary or a review, that says, you know, God, you're doing great, you've done the work, and you're not willing to have that kind of gaslighting in your life anymore, because you know who you are and you know the truth and you have the tools. How refreshing, how refreshing. And it's okay to rest. Don't gaslight yourself. If you're tired, fucking rest. If you're hungry, fucking eat. You're not going to get fat from eating. You know, all that blamey, blame, shamey, shame, whatever category, if this is weight loss, if this is body image, if this is self-love, if this is dating, if this is money and finances, if this is work, they're all the same. They're all the same. They're all the same. You're shifting. So now you're shifting and you're wondering if you can believe it. And they're saying, yes, you can. Yes, you can. This is a new fire, new thought patterns, fresh, beautiful thought patterns, and in the form. Like, this isn't just getting asked on the date. It can be a job offer. It can be a windfall of money. It can be anything coming in. Whenever we do energy work and we remove something, we always fill it in with the right and good thing that truly belongs there. So that is why we see the Knight of Cups and the King of Cups coming in. This is a more loving replacement, your birthright. Absolutely. I love this. Have a wonderful day.